Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. This is our daily get-together live here on Facebook every day of the week, 7 days a week, 10:30 in the morning. And what do we do here? Well, we take time to look at the current headlines that affect our city, our state, our country, and sometimes the world. And we just try to get the best out of them so that our lives can become better here in Puerto Vallarta. If you are new to the broadcast, my name is Paco, and we always love to hear from new friends. All you have to do is let us know that you're new by writing the word new in your comment, and we'll be so very happy to welcome you to Coffee and Headlines in our daily broadcasts. You are probably seeing a poll that I put online just now. There's no specific reason behind this poll. I just woke up this morning thinking about the movies, but I figured, this is probably a good time to take a look at where we're at, as opposed to where we've been, where we've been in terms of going to places like the movie theater. And I think this is a fun week to kind of think about where we're at because, a lot of venues are now doing a lot of shows and the movies are back and restaurants would like it for us to go to restaurants. But that does not necessarily mean that we're ready to go to these places. So I am just curious as to where we're at. And I'm sure you would probably be curious about this. And before we get started, of course, I am going to welcome some of the new folk that are here and see who's in the house. Thetis Island is in the house. Good morning, Rod. It's great to see you. Let's see. Michael says good morning. Paco says good morning to you. Let's see. Paco says, I am Paco. I say good morning to you. What is this business of Paco says? Seriously. Taco Tuesday, says Joe. I thought about Taco Tuesday last week and I figured, can I actually do this formally? Can I actually go to different taco places every week and talk about a new taco place or a new kind of taco? And I got distracted and then I thought about it again. I thought, oh my God, look at this and look at my waistline. I don't know that I can do it, but it is Taco Tuesday if you want it to be. Matthew says, missed yesterday's show, but I have more suggestions about classical to pop for you. Please send them to me because I think it is absolutely fascinating. And I know that there's quite a few of them out there. I think it's an interesting topic and it's a great way to connect people with the source music, the classical pieces that the pop songs came from. Let's see. Oh, Tammy. Hello, Tammy. It's great to see you here. As we know, Tammy is one of the co-owners of Nacho Daddy, one of the venues in town. And it's a pleasure to see you. Tammy and I have collaborated in the past when I was taking care of the management of the boutique theater the social media and promotional efforts for the boutique theater. And it's great to see you here, Tammy. I hope you have your favorite beverage in hand. Just get comfortable, check things out, and feel free to ask questions. You are as much of a local as I can think of, so you are definitely in the right place. Thank you for asking, Michael. Luna is in bed this morning. We had a little bit of, of boisterous fun, and she is taking a break. She's just chilling and enjoying the breeze. Um, Michael can't vote yet, but he's looking forward to going to the movies. Um, Lisa would like an outdoor movie. Well, I would too, although I am outdoor movies are fun, but when you go to the movies, well, this is just my own take. I would enjoy an outdoor movie without a doubt, but when I know that the soundtrack is going to be rich and it's a violent movie and there's going to be explosions and sound effects, I really want the comfort of a good sounding acoustic environment, such well acoustic as in acoustic that is controlled, such as a movie theater. But oh wow, outdoor movies sound delightful. Let's see. Kathleen reports on Diana Villamonte at Act 2 last night. Very, very good. She will have one more show next Monday. Again, if you're ready to go to these venues, uh, let's make it so. Joe wants a taco show. Okay, I feel the pressure and I love the pressure. We'll find a way to make this happen. Absolutely. Because, tacos are a complicated thing. There are morning tacos, there are lunchtime tacos, there are evening tacos, there are tacos de pastor, tacos de canasta, tacos sudados, tacos fritos. There's all kinds of different tacos. So there's more to taco than just taco. Earl says hello from Provincetown. Um, Getting back to good thoughts, still a heavy heart. Alan, you're not disclosing, but whatever is going through your soul right now, you are appreciated. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, everybody wants a taco show. Put me to work. Put me to work. I love it. I love it. We would also love a taco show. Okay, Paco's Tacos Chronicles. See, that's another reason why I don't know that we can go in do tacos justice when Netflix came out with that absolutely delicious series. Talk tacos once a month. I am never worried about overindulgence. You see, Michael, I love the darn things. But enough. We've had all these great welcomes and all this stuff. I'm going to hold on to the poll until we get to the leisurely part of the program, which is coming after the news, which start now. Well, they came and went. The 21,450 COVID-19 vaccine doses for Puerto Vallarta seniors were distributed in 4 days rather than the anticipated 5 due to a very positive response from locals that rushed to the different vaccination points to wait for their turn to receive their dose. Some people waited for 20 minutes. Some people waited for many hours. But everybody's accounts that I've read, with very few exceptions, were accounts of gratitude, of joy, of relief, of being on the other side of the fence. But as expected, not every senior received their dose. At present time, there is no arrival date announced just yet for the second vaccine that would complete the immunization treatment, nor is there an announcement yet as to when we can expect additional vaccines for seniors to arrive in Puerto Vallarta. This is going to be just a wait and see situation. We also know that President of Mexico, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, met with the United States President Joe Biden yesterday at noon. They had a video conference, and both leaders shared the goodwill to maintain bilateral cooperation between both countries. Mexico and the United States are stronger when we're together, acknowledged Biden, but we haven't been the best of neighbors all the time. In a joint statement, they both agreed to work together to push for better immigration policies that recognize the dignity of migrants along with an orderly, safe, and continuous process. Now, one of the things that AMLO, or President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, would have liked from the United States during this conference call is that our northern neighbor would consider the sale rather and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines to Mexico. To this effect, President Biden responded with a lot of empathy and understanding and promised that he would see how and when this would likely be possible. And of course, the White House has now made an official response, also offered an official response to that effect, which was delivered by White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, like the Japanese drink? Seriously? This is the first time that I try to say the press secretary's last name. So if it's sake, like Japanese sake, please correct me or confirm. I don't know what it is. Anyhow, she indicated in a statement that President Biden has made it clear that vaccine access in the United States must be focused on its own citizens first and foremost. Once this goal has been reached, then the United States would be more than happy to discuss the possibility of distributing vaccines manufactured in the U.S. to other countries. And that's the way that went. We'll have to keep our eyes open as to what kind of conversations continue to happen between AMLO and President Biden. Let me take a quick look at any possible comments you may have at this stage of the game. Again, if you have things that are really important to share, it helps a lot if you add a letter Q at the beginning to your question, at the beginning of your question or comment, because then we can be looking for it during the broadcast. Of course, if we don't get to it during the broadcast, we will absolutely get to it during the rest of the day. Although I must confess, I have not yet looked at yesterday's comments. It's been a busy couple of days with a couple of other important projects. Let me take a quick look. Oh dear, then we will need Thirsty Thursday. And I wonder when we have there's no day of the week that starts with E for exercise Day or something like that. Good heavens. Let's see what else. Jen is the bomb. I have not yet seen her in action. And yes, it is pronounced similar to Saki. Thank you very much, Logan. Very much appreciated. And thank you very much for that, Matthew. Matthew Schubring. See, oh my God. And there is this, you guys and your last names. I love this. Susan G. Switchenberg says that I should pronounce the P, whereas Matthew says that the P is silent. So I'm going to have a cocktail and let you guys figure that out. Let's see. Then we would have to have effing Friday. I tell you guys, I love it when you put me to work. ¿Qué onda? Buenos días, amigochos, says Angelica. This is really, really wonderful. I don't see any cues, so we continue with our news, and I have more headlines to report. Of course, this one from our own state, and it is a sobering one. Unfortunately, this past weekend, 25 murders took place in two multi-homicides in the Guadalajara metropolitan area. In a Facebook post, Governor Alfaro stated that all security-related institutions in Jalisco acted immediately and in coordination with one another, but these efforts are outweighed by the fight against organized crime, which is a federal responsibility as determined by the Mexican Constitution. He went ahead to say that it's time for the federal government and its own security institutions to do their share of the work, while state and municipality level authorities do theirs. Of course, AMLO, Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, acknowledged this in this morning's press conference. And in the case of Jalisco, he said the problem got out of hand because of the heightened presence of organized crime in the state. And he ordered for an increased number of armed forces from the National Defense, Marine Guard, and National Guard in Jalisco, plus 3 other states of the country, Guanajuato, Michoacán, and Zacatecas. This is the region of the country in which we've had most of the problem, he said. I spoke with Jalisco governor about a month ago, and we remember that he did. And we agreed we would strengthen the presence, and we are in the process of following through. So, this is the presidential version of mañana. In other words, the conversation has taken place. The president has said, yes, we're on it, and it still hasn't happened. It's been a month. So this sounds like a Mexican mañana, for better or worse. But at the same time, it is true that a lot of armed forces have been deployed in the state of Jalisco, and we know this because we see them driving everywhere. In case you're wondering why they're here, it is because, as much as we'd like to think that our city is this wonderful place to live, um, and it is, there is a lot of organized crime going on. And that is just a fact. What can we say? My last headline to share with you before we move into the friendlier stuff is that there is now a warrant for the arrest of former Nayarit Governor Roberto Sandoval Castañeda and his daughter Lidi Alejandra Sandoval for spending a hell of a lot of money that wasn't theirs to spend. Aside from acting in coordination with organized crime, Sandoval is accused of purchasing an enormous amount of properties and conveniently putting them under his daughter's name to avoid fiscal implications. But it so happens that she was still going to college while this happened. And needless to say, she had no way to justify the purchases as a fiscal individual. Both of them are nowhere to be found, but Mexico has asked for collaboration with the International Police or Interpol, as it is likely that they will try to flee the country. You know, one has to wonder sometimes when these news take place if people are actually thinking with all thrusters, you know, and make decisions like this. But who am I to say? I don't have money to buy enormous property, so I don't have to worry about this. Let me take a quick look at some of your comments before we move on to the leisure stuff. I think tacos are such a great part of Vallarta that doing one show on it, whether a walking tour or information show would be appreciated. I can actually, Joe, think. I mean, I'm not going to debate you. Quite the contrary. I can think of at least 12, if not more, taco places that I love in the city, and because they're located in different parts of the city, I happen to go to them. Whenever I am in that particular part of the city and I'm craving tacos, which is pretty much all the time. So let me organize my organization and see how much of this we can do. It may not be a weekly thing, but I can definitely and very pleasurably start going to the taco places that I love personally and sharing with you why I like to go to those tacos. Of course, there's bound to be some kind of discussion as to whether they are really good tacos or bad tacos, but you know, they are the tacos that I enjoy. Stephanie says, so very sad for the loss of life. Absolutely. It is very sad because in this particular case, Stephanie, it's not like we're talking about burglars who went in to steal something. We're talking about criminals who just whipped out their guns and started shooting people for the sake of it, or clearly because they were involved in organized crime. But it is very, very sad news. This is very true, Angelica, although I am always cautious whenever we talk about dangerous cities. More often than not, when cities become dangerous, they don't become dangerous to us regular individuals. They become dangerous to the people that are involved in organized crime because that's the way they act. It becomes dangerous to us only if we happen to be in the middle of the line of fire, which is very unlikely in most cases. You guys just want me to turn into a blimp. I love it. Thirsty Thursday. So Tacos Tuesday, we eat tacos. Thirsty Thursday, we explore beverages. And when do we go exercise, guys? Terry is asking for a Mexican Music Monday. It's definitely coming, Terry. Not only that, but there's a lot of Latin rhythms that we know peripherally, and we may be thinking that we're dancing or hearing cha-cha-cha when it may actually be rumba. and we may be hearing vallenato when we think it's reggaeton. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that can be explained, and I would be very, very happy to dive into Music Mondays and talk about Mexican musicians. Let's see what else we have. Uh, Aha. So the P is silent. Thank you very much. Now, whenever we talk about Press Secretary Saki, we may just say salute. That's wonderful. Let's see what else we have. Walking Wednesday is for exercise. Um, I suppose. I suppose. I actually walked. Oh, I was about to reveal tomorrow. I'm not going to reveal tomorrow. Oh, yes, I am. Do you want to know where we're walking Wednesday? For we're walking tomorrow? No, you don't want to know. I will not tell you. Tomorrow, I walked very quickly to this wonderful place, and I think it's going to be a fun walk. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let us come back to today's show and let us shift over to the weather to find out exactly what is going to happen for the next 3 days. Let's go. Oh, snarky weather says time to go into hibernation, meatbag. I would think it's exactly the other way around. It's time to go out and enjoy the outdoors before they start getting hot and humid again. Right now it is 27 degrees Celsius, feels like 28, and that would be 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and we are showing a low humidity of 47%. Perfect for being out and about. Our weather forecast for today is clear throughout the day. Oh my God, I am actually starting to sound like a forecast person. Our weather forecast throughout the day is clear throughout the day. High temperature 28, low temperature 18. I know, Mom, I never knew that I would turn into a weather forecast man, but I enjoy the work. Tomorrow, it's going to be clear throughout the day. High temperature of 29, low temperature 18. And Thursday, it's going to be clear. Oh, wonderful. With high temperature 31, low temperature 18. So these are great days to go out and about. And I think this is a good time to take a look at that poll that we started. Let me go back to the page of the poll. And wow, 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 wow. This shows that the majority of you, 76%, are not quite ready to go to the movies. So let me create another poll, and we're going to do this very quickly. And this is going to be, are you ready to go to live shows in Puerto Vallarta? And I'm going to say yes, and then I'm going to say no, and I'm going to add a third option, which is yes, if they take place outdoors, because we know that there are a few venues that offer this option. And let us very quickly take a look at this, because one thing is going to the movies, which are all closed. And I have my own personal opinion about the movies, and I can share it if you want. I feel safe at the movies right now only because there's such a small number of people going to the movies that it is an absolute pleasure to go to the movies nowadays if the programming is good. But it's slightly different when it comes down to going to see live shows. There are venues that are completely enclosed. There are venues that open a door and say, oh, we're open. So there's that. And then there are venues that open a roof and say, oh, we're open. And there's that. And then there are venues that have an actual outside experience. So I am curious to see where you're at as far as live shows and how different it is from going to the movies, because ultimately you're going to a place where you're going to be surrounded by a bunch of people. And in fact, I personally would be more frightened to go to a live show than going to the movies, because more people seem to want to go to live shows than movies. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me take a couple of headlines while we are looking at the results of this, and then I'm going to share an insight into the world of copyright law, and I will show you what happened yesterday with YouTube after we had our little Monday music adventure. But first, a couple of headlines that might be of help for you. The first one is yes, Virginia, there is such a thing as coronaphobia. Coronaphobia is real, according to this doctor who is treating it. And in this article that I found in English, of course, from the Huffington Post, you can learn about the anxiety that is making some people sicker than COVID itself and how to avoid it if you happen to be feeling anxious about COVID 19 and if you think that you are feeling overly anxious. And of course, we have another one from Huffington Post, also in English, of course. And this one has 7 little things you can do when you're feeling pandemic burnout. And I know that we've all been there. I know that I've been there. I'm there, several times a week. So I'm looking forward to reading this particular article and just to see what it has to say. Before we look at the results of the poll, let me take a quick look at some of your recent comments before we find out who is feeling comfortable going to venues and what kind of venues you are feeling comfortable attending. 12 taco places, a feast that must be shared. Sure, why not? Okay, that's the name of the series, 12 taco places. It may be 10, it may be 14, Rita, but we will do a series on taco places that yours truly happens to enjoy. And we'll figure out a way to schedule them and we'll figure out a way to bring them to you. And that will be a lot of fun. And somebody else says, yes, I exercise on Wednesday, but clearly it's not enough. I'm watching my waist size increase. Let's see. Tacos and alcohol. T&A, says Stephanie, my favorite combo. I love it. Michael shows some empathy and he says, I can also see Michael with a pointing finger, running the camera fast does not count as jogging, Mr. Ojeda. Well, I know it's just a flick of a switch in my software. Too funny. You guys are too much. I love spending time with you. Dawn is confused, thought that today was Wednesday. It happens to the best of us, girl. I never know anymore what day of the week it is, but we'll definitely come back with Walking Wednesday tomorrow. Angelica asks, great question. Is the government of PB having new restrictions for Semana Santa y Pascua? The answer is yes, we know that there will be. And the answer is no, because they haven't been shared. Late last week, we talked about how at some point, Governor Alfaro allegedly said that he would let the hotel community know 1 month in advance what the specific protocol for Semana Santa would be 1 month ahead of time. And 1 month ahead of time would have been this past Sunday. We have not heard anything from the governor, so I am sure they are still figuring out what they're going to do. Needless to say, Angelica, this is important to everyone. It is important to local business. It is important to hotel owners. And last but not least, it is important for travelers who have certain expectations, when they come to Puerto Vallarta for vacation. As soon as we have details, we will let you know. James Binder says, I'd rather watch movies at home. People on their phones and chatting ruin the experience for me, and it's nice to hit pause for a bathroom break. I hear you. Let's see. Can't eat popcorn while wearing a mask. Does PV have any drive-in movie theaters? We do not, James. We have had a couple of outdoor movie-going initiatives, but I don't believe they are happening right now. Let's see what else. Mari is in a hurry. Fine, be that way. Have a great day. Let's see what else. Here in Canada, the doctors are recommending to go for walks in the open. Walks are great, Angelica and rest of the cluster. Walking is awesome. And if you are here in Puerto Vallarta and you are not walking, but you could be walking, I'm not a doctor, but I walk all the time. And this is the best time of year to be walking in Puerto Vallarta because the weather is just beautiful for it. If you are concerned about people, then don't walk where there are a lot of people. Um, if you are concerned about good places to walk that are near where you are, I mean, you can hop on an Uber and get close to the river and then head up the mountains, or you can come to Fluvial, where there's a lot of empty streets, where you can easily walk and there's no density of people. So please, please exercise. It's really important for our health. Let's see. Michael says, "Can I go?" And if you're thinking about going to the taco places, Michael, you never cease to surprise me because you seem to know a lot about fascinating places to go. Earl is getting hungry, and that makes two of us. Let's see. Can I please post the poll? The poll is already live, and if it's not showing up on your screen, I'm not entirely sure, but I've looked at some of your responses and I'm going to show them to you in a second. Show the poll shows up on the computer but not on the phone. That is something that unfortunately is beyond my ability to make happen. But I will definitely share the responses. In fact, let me show you the results right now. And the results are interesting and make perfect sense to me. It shows here that 22% are ready to go to live shows. This is just general live shows. 14% are not ready to go to live shows, and a whopping 63% are ready to go to shows if they take place outdoors. So this is the time of year in which what's the name of the river barbecue place? Oh my God, it escapes me. They could do a killing because El Rio Barbecue, because they do all these outdoor shows, and you know, if that's where you want to be and that's where you feel safe, I say, you know, go to that place. Act Two Entertainment has a completely outdoor venue, so that is a good place to feel safe. Needless to say, um, uh, we cannot control the variants of COVID, and there's a lot of things that are beyond our control. But we certainly wish a lot of good luck to all of those performers that are trying to make a living now in the venues, regardless of the venue configuration. We wish the venues their very best. The last thing that I want to share with you before we get going has to do, it's a little bit of a follow-up on copyright law, which we took a look at yesterday very briefly. It is a very complicated topic, but you probably wonder why I constantly say I don't want to do music, I don't want to do this or do that, because YouTube will frown at me. And, you know, YouTube has frowned at me, and this is not the first time that it happens. This is what happens when you put music on YouTube. A lot of times nothing happens because it's music that it's in the public domain. And a lot of times something happens, and this is what happens. Apparently, the YouTube robots realized that from 36 minutes 22 seconds to 36 minutes 39 seconds, I played the original version of A Groovy Kind of Love. Ha! That's how precise the robots are. They actually know, like, the time of the broadcast when I played music that I shouldn't be playing. I got a slap on the wrist. According to this report, my channel is not affected. This means that YouTube is not going to shut my channel down. The visibility of my video is going to be public still, although I've had instances in which certain pieces of music got muted in certain countries because of whatever stature of the law is. And if I wanted to make money from this video, which I don't, I'm not even eligible for making money on YouTube just yet because I don't have 1,000 followers. I cannot make any money, and I wouldn't want to make any money. I mean, I would love it for, like, a network who seems to be acting on behalf of Atlantic Records. I would love it for them to make a little bit of money just to have the privilege of discussing music online. But unfortunately, and this is not only happening to me, unfortunately for many, many music educators, music critics, musicologists, it's become virtually impossible to have a conversation about music online because of the way the social networks are set up to detect these kinds of situations. If I showed you a painting, I could zoom into the painting and discuss details about the painting. Same thing would be with architecture and sculpture. Music is very, very unique in that regard, which is something that those of us that love to talk about music really feel pressured um, about, because we can't really do it to the extent that we would like to. By law, even if I went to a venue and I was to discuss a piece of music and I played a groovy kind of love in its entirely, the venue has to have some kind of agreement with the law to be able to play music at that venue so that I would be covered. But imagine doing a music appreciation lecture and all of a sudden the copyright police arrives because you're in the middle of discussing music. It's crazy. But this is part of my reality, and I thought I'd share a little bit of what goes on behind the scenes when YouTube or Facebook slap one's wrist for playing music that is not ours to play. Am I going to stop doing it? Absolutely not. I will just be careful to find topics in which I can have access and perform or bring you music that is in the public domain, or keep my fragments really, really short and then give you longer lists of music to pursue on your own. Let me see if you have any final questions or cues. And let's see. I see comments about walking. Kathy says she's okay with the Palm and Act rooftop. Excellent. Lisa says El Rio is my most favorite venue on earth. I've been craving barbecue ribs for a while, Lisa, and I hear you. It is a place that I haven't gone to in a while, and I'm due to go there. And yes, I got in trouble with the YouTube police ever so slightly. Happens, it's not the first time that it's happened. But, one cannot get all, huffy and puffy about these things. I am a guest in YouTube. YouTube is giving me the privilege of posting my videos, and it is what it is. Paco, you want to use a white label player like Vimeo. Granted, it doesn't have the popularity that YouTube and Facebook have. Vimeo does not restrict based on copyrights. This is true, Daniel. This is true. But what I have found for my project is that, and this is something that is very clear for a lot of people involved with social media. A lot of businesses will say, well, should I have an Instagram account? Should I have a Facebook account? Should I have a YouTube account? And most people that are specialists in social media would agree that you should have your conversations where people are having the conversations. And for better or worse, most of the conversations that our cluster has take place in YouTube, which is why I have favored to do the lives on YouTube and not on, on Facebook and not on other platforms. So it is a complicated issue, and it is always difficult, Daniel, to come up with the best possible solution for everything. Mark says, I would love for you to do an art crawl. Is this the kind of thing where I go down on all fours and start crawling around my living room? No, I'm just kidding. Showcasing some local artists. Well, I would love to do that, Mark, and we have spoken about a couple of local artists, and I'll definitely take your comment into account, and we will definitely find other fabulous local artists to talk about. There's a union guy who walks around the city checking businesses to see if they are playing background music, and if so, you actually have to pay for the privilege under the copyright guidelines. The funny thing about that, Michael, is that this little guy that is walking around the union seems to charge differently, and there doesn't seem to be a system in place. And I know this because throughout times I've spoken with different venue owners about what the little guy from the union does, and they seem to have a different rule for different places, or the the money that they charge seems to vary from year to year or season to season. It is not something that is very well structured in our city, and I would imagine in the rest of Mexico for that matter. Anyhow, we are pretty much there. As always, I thank you so much for being part of today's broadcast. I hope you were amused, entertained, informed, or otherwise were prone to smiling at least once today. If not, smile. Be happy. It is Tuesday, so I don't know what you're planning to do today. I'm going to be stuck at home working on a couple of projects that I'm doing. My friend Juan Pablo has asked me to subtitle some interviews that he conducted in English with Spanish subtitles so that the Spanish population can understand them. So that's going to be the brunt of my day. But I certainly, oh, and of course, I have to edit tomorrow's walk. But I hope that today is a great day for you, that you will do something that nurtures your soul, that nurtures your stomach, and that you'll find a nice cocktail to go along with it. So stay kind, stay happy, do some exercise, stay safe, and stay in touch. And I'll see you again soon. Have an awesome Tuesday.